Breathe in. Do you smell that? It's the scent of damp black mud baking under a relentless sun, mixed with the faint metallic tang of river water and sweat. The year is 1250 BC. You are standing in the middle of Thebes, the absolute epicenter of the ancient world. But erase the Hollywood movies from your mind right now. You are not a pharaoh wearing a golden mask. You are not a high priest whispering incantations. You are an ordinary human being, and you have exactly 24 hours to survive in a city where the line between the physical world and the realm of the gods doesn't exist. This is the brutal, magical, and breathtakingly real Egypt. And your day begins not with gold, but with dirt, the black land and the lifeline. The sun fractures the horizon over the eastern hills, turning the Nile River from a terrifying, ink-black void into a ribbon of molten gold. For you and the 100,000 other souls waking up in this sprawling metropolis, this river is not just a body of water. It is your highway. It is your calendar. It is your god. Right now, we are in the season of Shimu, the harvest time. The waters are low. Down by the riverbank, fishermen are already balancing precariously on small skiffs made of bound papyrus reeds. These fragile boats look like they could sink at any moment, yet they have kept this civilization fed for millennia. They cast their nets for tilapia and Nile perch, hoping for a catch robust enough to salt and dry for the brutal months ahead. Look around you. Women from your village are walking toward the water, heavy clay jars perfectly balanced on their heads. There are no aqueducts here, no Roman plumbing. Every single drop of water you will drink today, cook with today, or wash with today has to be hauled by human strength from that muddy current. You drink the river, you eat from the river, and if the river fails, you die. It is that simple. A few miles away, stone columns known as nilometers are being obsessively monitored by elite priests. They are measuring the water level with a terrifying precision. If the annual flood, the inundation, comes in too low, famine will sweep across the empire, reducing powerful men to eating the roots of marsh weeds. If the flood comes in too high, whole villages will be swept into oblivion. You don't just respect the Nile, you fear it. But today, the crops of wheat and barley are heavy and golden. The flax is ready to be woven into the scratchy linen you are wearing. Egypt will eat today, the forbidden sanctum and the weight of the universe. By mid-morning, the brutal heat is already radiating off the ground. The city of Thebes is neatly divided by the river. The east bank belongs to the living, and the west bank belongs to the dead. On the east bank, dominating the skyline, are the massive stone mountains of the Karnak and Luxor temples. You are walking past Karnak right now, but you stop at the outer courtyard. You do not go further. You cannot go further. The inner sanctums are completely forbidden to ordinary eyes, but you know exactly what is happening in the terrifying darkness of those inner halls. Deep inside the temple, a high priest is literally keeping the universe from collapsing. Before dawn, he had to bathe in a sacred, freezing lake 3 separate times, or he had to shave every single hair from his entire body to ensure absolute purity. He is currently wearing nothing but pure white linen. He approaches a small, sealed shrine. Inside is a statue of Amun-Ra, the king of the gods. It is small, maybe 2 feet tall, crafted from solid gold and deep blue lapis lazuli. The priest breaks the clay seal. He doesn't just pray to the god, he treats the god as a living, breathing, hungry entity. He washes the statue with sacred water. He dresses it in fresh clothes, he paints its eyes, and then he feeds it. Massive piles of bread, roasted duck, figs, and beer are laid before the altar. The god consumes the spiritual essence of the meal. Once the ritual is complete, the physical food is divided among the temple staff. Why do they do this every single day without fail for thousands of years? Because the Egyptians believe in Ma'at, the concept of cosmic order, truth, and balance. If the ritual stopped for even one morning, Ma'at shatters. The sun will refuse to rise. The Nile will dry to dust. Chaos will consume the earth. The priests are not just conducting a religion. They believe they are operating the machinery of the cosmos. Blood, sweat, and limestone. But you don't have time to worry about the cosmos. You have to work. Let's cross over to the West Bank, into the harsh, sun-blasted valley, where the heat gets trapped against the cliffs like an oven. You are a Menacht, a stone mason living in the highly guarded workers' village of Deir el-Medina. You are not a slave. Forget the myths of slaves building the monuments under the crack of a whip. You are a highly skilled, free craftsman, and you are building the eternal resting place for the living god, Pharaoh Rameses II. Your commute is a grueling hike over a mountain ridge just to reach the Valley of the Kings. By the time you arrive, your linen wrap is soaked with sweat. The overseers are already shouting. The noise is deafening. The rhythmic clink of bronze chisels hitting solid limestone, the grinding of massive stone blocks being dragged across the sand on wooden sledges. To make the sledges move, water is constantly poured on the sand, just ahead of the runners, creating a slick mud that reduces friction. It is backbreaking, brutal labor. You have seen men's spines compressed from decades of hauling. You have seen friends crushed when a rope snaps and a 2-ton block slides backward. Your hands are thick with calluses, your lungs coated in fine white stone dust. Yet there is an immense, fierce pride in what you do. You are not building a house that will crumble in a few generations. You are carving eternity. And the bureaucracy tracking your work is staggering. Sitting in the shade is a scribe, carefully marking down attendance on a piece of broken pottery in Ostrakhan. We have actually found these ancient attendance sheets. The excuses written on them are incredibly human. One worker is marked absent because he was bitten by a scorpion. Another is out because he had to embalm his brother. Another is excused because he was brewing beer. And one was simply marked absent for being too drunk from yesterday's festival. You are well compensated for your pain. At the end of the month, your wages are paid not in coins, which don't exist yet, but in rations. Massive sacks of emmer wheat, key barley, fish, and, most importantly, beer. High noon, liquid bread, and the living God. By midday, the sun is a physical weight on your shoulders. Work halts. It is too hot to breathe, let alone cut stone. You find a sliver of shade cast by a half-finished pillar and sit down for your meal. It is bread. It is always bread. In ancient Egypt, bread is life. Your teeth are already worn down, sanded flat by the microscopic grit of desert wind, and fragments of stone from the grinding querns that get mixed into the flour. You chew the coarse, gritty loaf, perhaps dipping it in a small bowl of olive oil or eating it with a raw onion. And you wash it down with beer. But this is not the clear, carbonated beverage you know today. Ancient Egyptian beer is thick, opaque, and incredibly nutritious. It is essentially liquid bread, slightly sour, lightly alcoholic, and packed with calories. It is safer to drink than the river water. Everyone drinks it. The workers drink it, the high priests drink it, even the children drink it. It gives you the energy to survive the afternoon heat. While you sit in the dust wiping sweat from your eyes, look across the river to the sprawling, vibrant palace complex of Rameses the Great. The contrast is mind-bending. The pharaoh's day is an unending marathon of absolute power and crushing administrative burden. He is seated in an audience hall surrounded by walls painted in brilliant reds, blues, and golds, depicting him crushing foreign enemies. His vizier, the ancient equivalent of a prime minister, is reading endless reports. Gold quotas from the harsh mines of Nubia, troop movements near the borders of the Hittite Empire, common disputes between wealthy landowners, tax yields from the delta. Rameses listens, and he speaks, and his word is literal, unbending law. He is viewed not merely as a king, but as the son of Ra, the physical embodiment of the falcon god Horus. If he makes a weak decision, Egypt falters. But right now his mind is heavily focused on the very project you are building in the Valley of the Kings. Because in Egypt, you spend your entire life preparing for your death. Death is not the end. It is simply a dangerous transition. If his tomb is not perfect, if the magical spells from the Book of the Dead are not carved flawlessly into the walls, his soul will not safely navigate the underworld. The demons of the night. The sun finally begins its descent, turning the sky into a bruised canvas of deep purples and fierce oranges. The heat breaks. Our work ends. You make the long trek back over the mountain ridge to your home in Deir el Medina. Your house is a modest mud brick structure, packed tightly against your neighbors. The roof is flat. That's where your family will sleep tonight to catch the faint evening breeze. Inside it is dark, smelling of wood smoke and roasting garlic. Your wife has been managing the household all day. In Egypt, her rights are remarkably progressive compared to other ancient cultures. She can own property, she can initiate a divorce, and she can buy and sell goods at the local market. You sit down with your family as the last light vanishes. And then the true darkness sets in. There are no streetlights, no ambient glow of a city. The night in the ancient world is absolute, pitch black, and utterly terrifying. You do not travel at night. You lock your doors, because the darkness is full of threats, not just bandits or venomous snakes, but demons. Magic is not a myth to you. It is a very real science of survival. You gather your children. Child mortality is a haunting reality. Statistically, 1 in 3 children will not live to see their 5th birthday. Disease, infection, and malnutrition are constant stalkers. You don't pray to the massive, distant gods like Amun-Ra for their safety. You pray to the household gods. You have small, rough clay figurines in a niche in your wall. You pray to Bes, the grotesque, dwarf-like god who scares away evil spirits. You pray to Taweret, the fierce hippopotamus goddess who protects pregnant women and infants. You tie amulets carved in the shape of the Eye of Horus around your children's necks, desperate to keep them safe until morning. As you lie on the roof staring up at a blinding canopy of stars, you think about the end. You know that one day you will face the ultimate test. When you die, your heart will be placed on a cosmic scale, weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the feather of truth. If your heart is heavy with sin, with cruelty, with lies, it will sink. And the demon Amet, a terrifying beast with the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus, will devour it. You will cease to exist forever. But if you have lived a good life, if you have done your work honestly and treated your neighbors well, the scales will balance. You will enter the field of reeds. And what is heaven to an ancient Egyptian? It is not clouds and harps. It is exactly like Egypt. It is the Nile, like the wheat fields, the mud, and the beer. But the harvest never fails, and you are never tired. Heaven is the life you are living right now, perfected for eternity. That is what it meant to survive 24 hours in ancient Egypt. It was a life of gritty, exhausting reality, deeply intertwined with profound, terrifying magic. They figured out how to thrive in a desert, how to feed an empire, and how to build monuments that would outlast time itself, using nothing but bronze tools, human muscle, and an unshakable belief in the afterlife. They built for eternity, and looking at the ruins that still scar the earth 3,300 years later, they succeeded. If this journey into the dirt and magic of the ancient world completely shifted how you see history, hit that subscribe button right now. We don't just tell stories, yet we drop you into the timeline. Drop a comment below and tell me, could you survive a day hauling stone in the Valley of the Kings? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next era.